Welcome back to California Cooking. This episode is for all the coffee lovers out there. You're too young for coffee. First, I'm taking you to a female-founded neighborhood coffee shop whose home-roasted coffee beans are so good, they've been recognized by Bon Appetit magazine. Then,
But I'm not allowed to have coffee.
well, true. Maybe a sip every once in a while, but there is something you're gonna love. How about a ground coffee rub that can add so much flavor to your steak tacos? And I'm also making a no-bake coffee ice cream pie for dessert. I love a neighborhood coffee shop where you can grab a good cup of coffee, you can meet up with friends, work, study, whatever it is. Laidrey is one of those spots. I got to meet the co-owner and learn all about what inspired her to start her own shop. Hello.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good.
Thank you so much for coming.
Oh my gosh. I love this spot.
Thank you.
This is really cute. Tell me how you came up with the idea of opening up a coffee shop.
My first job ever when I was like 16, 17 was at Starbucks.
Okay.
So I've always loved the coffee community and just being able to talk to people and get to know your regulars, that kind of stuff always I gravitated towards. And then, you know, I was off to college and grad school. I went to UCLA for undergrad, and then I went to Columbia for grad school, and I actually got my master's in social work.
Okay, you're an impressive lady.
Thank you. But my love for coffee actually came more when I was living in New York.
Well, that's true, right? And it's funny, I started drinking coffee when I moved to New York.
And so I lived right by this one coffee place called Joe's, and so it was the first time I ever saw latte art. I was just mesmerized, you know, so I started to nerd out on coffee and try all the coffee spots while I was there. I moved back in 2013, and I moved back to the Valley, which is where I'm from originally.
Okay.
There was just no like specialty coffee shops, and I decided to just start roasting coffee myself in my garage on like this tiny little roaster that I still have. And then I started to nerd out on it because it's very like scientific, and learning about all the roast profiles and doing all that stuff. It was just fun for me. And I just started giving it out to friends and family. And everyone was like, oh, you should totally do this. I was getting encouragement.
Oh, we have a delivery.
Oh,
Speaking of coffee art, I'm cute.
Yes.
Look at how pretty that is.
I know. They do such a good job,
Oh
and
my
it's just like so much
gosh.
fun.
So is this a cappuccino?
That is a cappuccino.
Aha.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so should I?
Yeah, taste it.
It's almost too pretty to drink, honestly. I love it.
Yeah.
And the foam and the coffee, it's not bitter.
Yeah.
It's not burnt. Oh
And that's
my
a
gosh.
cortado.
Now, what's a cortado?
It's equal parts milk and equal parts espresso. And so it's a little bit more bitter but smooth, and it's a lighter temperature because it's meant to be drank a little bit faster.
Oh, interesting. Now,
Yeah.
how did you learn all of this?
Self-taught.
Yeah.
There's so many books about different kinds of specialty coffee, craft coffee. So all our coffees are single origin. Everyone has like a different take on how they want to present their coffees. So we don't do blends at our shop.
Okay.
Everything is really focused on the farmer, where the coffee's from, and what flavor profile that coffee has to offer.
I picture you now like taste testing coffee.
Yeah, we
Is
do
it
that all
kind
the
of
time.
Like someone who maybe tests wine.
Yes.
Like you swirl it around.
Oh, yeah.
Really?
Yeah, it's called cupping.
So what do your customers think when they come here?
I started off as a coffee cart. So after I started roasting in my garage, I decided to start a coffee cart and start sampling my coffees in different places. And then when I found this place, it's in my hometown and I loved it, and it took a very long time to build out. So actually I have a newspaper stand attached to my building, and for 6 months I was outside making coffee on my coffee cart, and we had and it was during the pandemic.
Yeah.
So nobody wanted to go inside, right? And so people loved it. Then the community just kind of like came together, and it was a way for people to meet outside, not worry about, you know, getting sick and all that. So it was really fun. That's sort of how it started.
So you get the beans from all over the world, and then I see this beautiful machine here.
It's a Probat roaster.
And that's where the roasting happens. And
We
then
roast-
grinding.
Grinding is on this side,
Okay.
but all the roasting is on this side, and packaging. We do public cuppings the last Friday of every month, so people can come and cup with me.
Yeah,
for
and
2
figure
hours.
out which, kind
so-
you like, right?
And then we have an online subscription. that people buy our beans online, and it got nominated for one of the best subscriptions nationally on Bon Appetit last year, and then it came again this year. So it's 2 years in a row.
Bon Appetit.
Yes,
That's huge.
Huge, I know.
Huge.
I was so honored.
And my eye is caught with this little area over here. We've got flowers and just little.
So I support other small businesses as well,
so
right?
great.
So
You're paying it forward. You're
yeah,
like, I
for
got
sure.
this spot.
I know that you know the organization regarding her. And so I was a grantee winner from them last year. And they gave us $20,000, which helped me open my second location in Encino.
That's right. Second
Yeah.
location. Open or coming soon?
It's open.
It's open.
I think it's really important, especially in the food and beverage community, to really support each other because it's tough.
I hear you're going to take me back here and
Yes.
give me some coffee 101.
Yes.
The master is at work.
Okay, so we're gonna do a pour over. So this is a really easy, fun way to make coffee at home if you don't have an espresso machine and are tired of making like drip coffee.
Yeah.
So this is how we do it. So we're going to do the Aiden, the El Salvador coffee today, which has like a strawberry jam, blueberry, blackberry flavor. So we're gonna do 25 grams, and then we're gonna go ahead and take this and grind it.
That was so fast, by the way. That was like, it took a second to grind that.
So what we want to do first is actually wet this paper.
Yeah.
We want to get any of the paper flavor kind of out before we put the coffee in. We're going to go ahead and take this water and empty it out. And then we're going to put the beans
Your
in.
ground coffee.
And one last thing we're going to do is I'm actually going to scale out the right amount of water, which is 320 grams.
Yeah.
So what we want to first do is bloom the coffee. So we're going to pour a little bit of water and we're going to let it bloom for 1 minute. And what that does, it's kind of it oxidizes, all the beans oxidize, and it's going to look like a little muffin. And what we want to do is let the water soak in the beans. So the next time you pour water in, you're going to get some of the oils extracted and all that good stuff. So it's been a minute, so now we're gonna start pouring again. And this time we're just gonna pour everywhere. So that crema that you see is also an indication of the freshness of the coffee.
Oh, nice.
And that's it.
By the way, your measuring is it's right to the brim. I'm never sleeping tonight. But it's all worth it. I like it. As someone who appreciates a cup of coffee that's smooth.
Like you don't need cream in it. You don't need like anything. It's just very easy.
I'm not a burnt bitter girl.
Yeah.
And you don't do that here.
No,
And
I'm
I
not
love
bitter. No.
Look at how, and this is worth waiting for. You're like, look, we make our sandwiches homemade in shop, our toasts.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
gorgeous.
so this, thank you so much. Yeah, so we had our staff make the Italian French and the deluxe toast. So
And so this one has the
mascarpone.
mascarpone and the pear.
Yes, and honey and pistachio. I think it's just like a nice balance. It's like creamy and sweet.
Oh my gosh. Like you said, with a cup of coffee, when you want a little something sweet, drizzled with the honey, and then a little savory.
Yes, exactly.
I've got the lox, the capers, and you can tell like everything matters on the plate.
Yeah.
Nothing's like a throwaway.
No.
Right?
Yeah.
Everything's like, that's there.
Yes.
To serve
Yeah,
a
so
purpose.
yeah, for sure.
And it's that jalapeno cream cheese.
Yes,
And
it's got like crunchiness to it, so it's not like so creamy and dense.
That is delicious.
Thank you so much.
It's like picking amongst one's favorite child. I love them all.
Thank you. Thank you.
Coming up, more coffee, please. My no-bake coffee ice cream pie is perfect when you have friends over and need a quick dessert. But first, this is one of my favorite ways to kind of zhuzh up a steak. Coffee rubbed steak tacos. That's coming up next. If you're looking to make your steak extra tender and tasty, I recommend trying a coffee rub. One of the things I like to do to stretch a buck is you have a beautiful steak here that maybe could serve two, depends how much you like to eat in a portion. But for me, I just like a couple of slices of steak, and the way to do it to stretch your dollar is turn it into tacos or turn it into kind of a platter meal where you've got a lot going on, you take a few slices, but you enjoy other parts of the meal. So that's what I'm gonna do with one steak, a few ears of corn, and then some tortillas, and we've got a meal for four, easily. So here's this beautiful steak, and this would be great outside on the grill. I'm gonna grill it indoors, but a nice little rub on here. So I think what I'm gonna do is, interestingly enough, and I've done this with like fish tacos where I put a little bit of a coffee rub into it. So I've got some, just your regular ground coffee, and I'm gonna put some of that as the foundation of this rub for our steak. So to our coffee grounds, I'm gonna do some garlic powder, some mustard, ground mustard. Just think of all these flavors that might, work well together, like smoked paprika, a little chipotle powder. Now this is spicy, so I'm just gonna do a little bit of that. Some onion, powdered onion, salt, a nice fat pinch of salt, a little bit of brown sugar, and the brown sugar really helps with the caramelizing. When that sugar hits the grill, it browns and gets all nice. So here's our beautiful steak, and I pat it dry with a paper towel because you want it to be dry. That's how you get a nice char and a nice crust. So this is gonna get nice and covered in our rub. The other thing I like to do with steak, and they say to do this as well, is you take the meat out and get it to almost to room temperature. Because if you take it right out of a cold fridge onto a hot pan or a hot grill, it kind of seizes up, and they say it can make the meat tough. So I like to let the meat sit out for a little bit and then cook it up. Look at that, that even looks pretty, that rub. Rub is done. Got my grill pan heated up, and now the first thing I'm gonna do is just get some ears of corn on here, some olive oil, and you just wanna get some char on our corn. Ooh, the other thing I think I might do is I've got a jalapeno. I'll put that on there and just get a little color on everything. Corn, a little bit of char on that. So corn is coming off. Our limes, look at this. How gorgeous the limes, and they become so juicy when you put them on the grill. Those are done. Our jalapeno, we could let that hang out. Okay, grill is hot. I just might put a little bit of oil. Make sure you have good ventilation. Here it goes. While our steak rests, because you want it to sit for a few minutes before you cut into it, what's great about this dinner is everything was cooked on the grill on the stove. So one pan we dirtied up, and that was it, and that's my favorite part about this meal. So let's make our corn salad, and then I like to lay the corn on its side like that and just cut the corn that way. I find that to be the easiest, so corn's not rolling all over the kitchen floor. And then in this bowl, I have some chopped red onion, just like a quarter of a red onion, finely chopped. And then our charred limes, which are, look at how much juice. I don't know, just something about heating them up on the grill produces so much more juice. And then our charred jalapeno, fine chop on that. I'm gonna probably scrape out the seeds just because not everyone wants spicy. To our corn salad, some salt, some olive oil, some good extra virgin olive oil, and that's it. We let the steak sit for a few minutes, and this has that beautiful rub with the coffee and the paprika and the garlic and onion and a little bit of brown sugar, and it has this nice kind of crust around it, which I love. Try to go against the grain, although sometimes it's hard to see what's what. But thin slices, look at that beauty. And again, this is one steak to feed 4 people easily. We pile up our beautiful steak right in the middle of our platter. And then around our steak, we're just gonna put our corn salad, just Just nestle it in there. And then I also have these beautiful just charred tomatoes. Some beautiful fresh green cilantro. You could do parsley if you don't like cilantro. I'm gonna just a little drizzle of really good olive oil on the steak. Some coarse salt. You're gonna serve that with some tortillas that I just charred up on the grill. And the last thing, because I can't help myself, a little sour cream. I like to add a little lime to it. And there you go, you got a little sour cream, lime sour cream, add to your taco. I can't wait to try taco. So I've got my tortilla, get a piece of steak, some corn salad, we get a tomato or two in there, squeeze a lime. Oh, and I have to have some sour cream. So good. I think I need a little hot sauce though, but really yummy. Coming up, if you like dipping biscotti into your cup of coffee, you're gonna love my no-bake coffee ice cream pie with a biscotti crust. How does that sound?
Ooh.
That's next. A delicious ice cream dessert, never a bad idea. This recipe is so easy, you'll wanna make it again and again. My love of coffee had me thinking, what else can I do with coffee? I'm not a baker, as you guys know, and I love a good cheat. So what if I do an ice cream, coffee ice cream pie? And really it just takes things from the store that you kind of put together and voila, you got a whole new dessert. So I thought about, well, what goes with coffee and biscotti? People dunk their biscotti. I don't dunk in my coffee, but I know people dunk biscotti. It's kind of that crunchy Italian cookie. So I got a bag of biscotti, any flavor, although I would do probably like an almond or chocolate. I wouldn't get into like orange and those flavors with coffee, but up to you. And instead of like a graham cracker crust, I'm gonna use biscotti as my crust. So you need one of these pans, right? So you can do your crust, and then when it freezes, you do this little number and it looks kind of impressive on a cake stand. So that's the number one thing. We've got our coffee ice cream thawing, and I've got some espresso beans. And I'll show you what I'm gonna do with those, chocolate covered, of course. So first thing is our crust. And I'm gonna put our biscotti into the food processor and then pulse it up. I'm gonna pour in some melted, unsalted butter. Okay, so you want it to basically get to a point where you put enough butter where it becomes like sand. Here's our little pie pan. Now, clean hands, and we just press. What I've seen done is you take a measuring cup and you use that. Right, so you go all the way around. So then the trick with the little cup, which is kind of nice, is it gives you a really flat bottom there, and then it builds up a nice little crust around the edge. While we work, let's put this in the freezer. Oh my gosh, I love chocolate covered espresso beans. I forgot how much I love them. What I thought would be kind of fun, in our coffee ice cream, to chop up some dark chocolate covered espresso beans so you get this kind of extra coffee jolt within the pie. The hard part is keeping these from rolling around, but we'll do our best. Here we go. Coffee ice cream. Start mixing it around. So this is a gallon. And if you don't want to do this, you could just put the coffee ice cream directly into the crust, but I like this addition of some extra espresso beans, some elbow grease here, or forget the pie and just grab a spoon and eat this out of the bowl. Now, let me go get my pie crust. Crust is out. I had this in there for maybe 10 minutes, but you could certainly leave it in longer, it wouldn't hurt. Now, we fill. If you want it spreadable, no bake, didn't even have to turn the oven on. Now back in the freezer, and I'll show you how we finish our coffee ice cream pie. Our coffee ice cream pie is out of the freezer. It was in there maybe an hour, so this is the trick. It held together, and that's why you need this pan. And then you just slide it onto your cake stand. We made this! I just think it would look pretty on top. To add some homemade whipped cream. I mean, we're not gonna mess around with piping or any of that business, because I don't know how. You don't wanna take it all the way. You wanna see that coffee, right? I'm gonna see if I can manage to do this. Get a coffee bean and a little grater. Look at that. This looks like a professional pie. And we never turn the oven on. Gorgeous. I'm a little nervous to cut into it. It's one of those things where you've got to time it. Okay, I ran the knife under hot water because you don't want it to be too frozen. Yeah, we did it. The ice cream, I only left it out for, I don't know, 2 or 3 minutes, and it's the perfect, it's frozen, but you can run your spoon through it. The biscotti crust, and the whipped cream, very little sugar. So the whipped cream kind of cuts through the sweetness of the ice cream. The best afternoon pick-me-up. For all the recipes we featured in today's show, you can follow us on Instagram at KTLA California Cooking. Well, that does it for us. Thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you next time.
Or you can go Starbucks.
Oh, you know what, you guys? Wait, I didn't heat up my grill. Hello?
But,
What?
could you dim these lights, please?